Good afternoon. My name is Michael Scott, and I am the Ambassador Lead with YPN. Thank you for taking the time to join us today in our first installment of Cause and Effect. We have the cause, you have the effect. Today's program is brought to you by our sponsors, Gibson Insurance, Indiana Michigan Power, Martins, and Transpo. We've invited representatives from three local organizations, the Food Bank of Northern Indiana, a Rosie Place for Children, and South Bend Community School Corporation's Mentoring Matters program, to give you an overview of their purpose, volunteer opportunities available, and how you can get engaged. Our format today will give each organization 15 minutes to share and allow time for a brief question and answer after each presentation. At the very end, we will open it up for any general questions to any of the three representatives we have. If you do have questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat box or message me privately, and I will facilitate them at the end of each presentation. First up, we're going to welcome Allison Schoenfeld of the Food Bank of Northern Indiana. Allison, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I just want to go ahead and introduce myself really quickly. My name is Allison Schoenfeld, and I'm the Programs and Experience Manager here at the Food Bank of Northern Indiana. I'm a young professional myself. I just graduated from Indiana University in Bloomington this May, 2020 grad, with a degree in nonprofit management and business. So I have a little presentation to share with you today, and I'm going to go ahead and get that started for us. Go, if I can just present. Okay, so like I said, I am the Programs and Experience Manager here at the Food Bank of Northern Indiana. Here's a little bit about how the presentation is going to go today. I'll tell you a little bit about our mission, about who we are, some of our programs, how we're responding to COVID-19, our current volunteer opportunities, and how YPN specifically can get a little more involved. So our mission here at the Food Bank of Northern Indiana is to work in partnership with the community to feed the hungry, increase awareness of the effects of hunger, and lead programs designed to alleviate hunger. So just a little bit more about our organization. The Food Bank of Northern Indiana moved to its current location here at 702 Chapin Street in South Bend 20 years ago in the year 2000. Our facility is nearly 100,000 square feet, making us the third largest food bank in the state of Indiana, behind Indianapolis and Fort Wayne. So in 2006, our organization's name was changed officially to the name we have today, the Food Bank of Northern Indiana, and we serve 6 counties in our area, including Elkhart, LaPorte, Kosciuszko, Marshall, Stark, and St. Joseph County. And in 2008, America's Second Harvest changed its name to Feeding America, as I'm sure you heard plenty about during the pandemic. They've been a great organization serving hundreds and hundreds of food banks throughout the country, of which we are a member. And then last year in 2019, the Food Bank of Northern Indiana distributed 8.8 million pounds of food across its network of 150 member agencies in that 6-county service area. And this year, due to COVID-19, we have started to produce almost more than that amount already, and it's not the end of the year yet. So just a little bit on some of our programs. As the program manager, I'm responsible for the following, and these are really great programs, and you can get involved in these by volunteering. So our Food for Kids backpack program started in 2006 and provides supplementary weekend food to kids within our 6-county service area. That food is all shelf stable and kid friendly, and it serves nearly 2,000 students, grades K through 5 in that 6-county service area. So one of our largest programs. Following that, our senior nutrition program. Many seniors in our community have to choose things between, food and medicine, food and utilities, and so much more. So in 2012, we started distributing bags of supplementary weekend food product to senior facilities in St. Joseph County. And since then, that has grown to about 16 facilities and nearly 1,000 individuals in our 6-county service area that we serve. And finally, our Healthy Choices Market. This is a partnership between Memorial Hospital, local South Bend chefs, and St. Joseph Regional Medical Center. And this is a program, unlike the other two, that has been put on pause due to COVID-19 until we're able to safely be together again. We will not be able to run this program. But it's really cool. It's a great program. It provides individuals with high-risk medical problems and a doctor's referral with a chance to learn more about cooking healthy meals and living a healthy lifestyle, even if they have little to no medical insurance. So just a little bit about how we're responding to COVID-19 here at the food bank. We have limited our volunteer opportunities at this time. We're encouraging new volunteers to seek out opportunities at the St. Joseph Community Food Pantry, which we do host here at our facility, and our mobile distributions located all throughout our 6-county service area. If anyone is interested in volunteering, please feel free to send me an email and I can give you a really up-to-date and detailed list of all of those opportunities. We used to host 1 to 2 mobile pantries per month, sometimes a couple a week. But due to COVID-19, we've been hosting most food pantries almost every day throughout our 6-county service area. In addition, we've also had to limit some of our student volunteers as cases begin to rise on a case-by-case basis. A lot of full-time university students aren't able to volunteer with us. So one way we've made that ease up on us just a little bit is through the Indiana National Guard. So as you may know, I know we ran a couple of news segments on this. At the end of April, we had about 35 National Guard members deployed to us through the state of Indiana, and that number has been reduced to about 7, but they are just absolutely essential to our organization right now. Since we're not able to have all of our usual volunteers safely volunteering with us, they act as sort of permanent volunteers, as drivers, and as staff members for us. So they are super helpful to our organization and have been a primary response to COVID-19 for us. Like I mentioned, we increased mobile food distributions, and our sanitation and prevention measures have really been upped. Obviously, everyone who enters the food bank is required to wear a mask or face covering at all times, and we really do our best to sanitize, all of our workstations in between every volunteer group, and making sure to stay 6 feet apart and social distance. And then finally, the Community Food Pantry of St. Joseph County, as I mentioned, that we host here at our facility, has been moved to a contactless delivery model. So prior to COVID-19, people would kind of come and shop with a shopping cart, choose items off shelves, and there was a lot of client choice in that model. But now we've moved to a contactless delivery model in which cars will pull up into our parking lot and we'll place a box of prepackaged food items into their trunk. So it kind of takes away some of that client choice, but our priority is keeping our clients safe at the end of the day. So moving on to some of our current volunteer opportunities, as I mentioned, we host mobile food distributions multiple times a week throughout our 6-county service area. The next one coming up is going to be this Thursday, November 12th, here at our facility. We're going to be giving away meat products. And these mobile distributions, especially in St. Joseph County, have really, really grown in size. Our largest was approximately 850 cars that came through in just about a 2.5-hour span. And these serve thousands and thousands of individuals in our area per week. So really a huge operation. And like I said, please feel free to send me an email or give me a call if you're interested in volunteering at any of these. They are pretty fluid and tend to change week to week. So the most updated information can always be found at our website at feedindiana.org, or again, can be found by contacting me. And then again, at the Community Food Pantry of St. Joseph County, hosted here in our facility, we are open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Mondays and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Volunteers are welcome to come in and place those prepackaged boxes of foods into the trunks of people that come through to be served by our pantry. And then during the week of Thanksgiving, we will be having special hours for those. In that season of giving, when a lot of people have some free time, some time off work, we will need quite a few volunteers to help with that. So that would be Monday, November 23rd. We will be open from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., our normal pantry time, but then also on Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, we will host extended pantry hours from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And just a few more ways to get involved. Since we have more limited volunteer opportunities at this time, if you're interested in hosting a food drive or a funds drive in which you collect money for the Food Bank of Northern Indiana, you can contact our CEO, Mary Jo Martinek, and I've listed her email here. And her phone number is just the same phone number as ours. Her extension is be found on our website. Hosting a food or funds drive is a great way to get involved, especially while staying social distanced. And then if you'd like to stay connected with the food bank, we post a lot of this information, a lot of volunteer opportunities, and more ways to get involved on our Instagram and Facebook pages, which can be found here as well. So thank you everyone for your time today. Again, my name is Allison. I'm the Programs and Experience Manager, and all my information can be found on this slide. And at this time, I'll open the floor up to questions.
All right, Allison, we had one come through. How has, obviously you guys have adapted with COVID-19, which you discussed. How has that changed the amount of donations you're getting from people and the amount of volunteers that are allowed to work? Have you guys seen a drastic decrease with people with them staying home, or have you seen an increase because people might not be working and are looking for other ways that they can kind of contribute to the community?
Yeah, so I'll answer your question kind of in two parts. So we have received a massive increase in donations, especially when the pandemic began in late March, early April, sort of. We typically we operate in a quarter system, and we typically receive most of our donations around this time of year, around Thanksgiving and Christmas, when people are sort of feeling in that holiday spirit. But this year we received more donations than we've ever received, just in that March and April and May period. So we've definitely seen a drastic increase in donations here, and we really appreciate the help. This is a time of great need for us. So that has been one positive thing to come out of the pandemic, to see our community really coming together to fight hunger. And then to answer your second question about volunteers, we have sort of seen a drop and an interest kind of at the same time. Like I said in my presentation, it's been a really fluid situation. We unfortunately have had to pause in-person student volunteers at this time due to some of the spikes at local universities, which has been really difficult for us, as some of those are our best volunteers. And some of our other best volunteers, are in that elderly category, in that high risk category, over 70. So a lot of volunteers have kind of put a pause on their work with us, just, in the safety of their own health, which we completely understand. So it's been kind of a challenge to recruit enough volunteers to keep our programs running, as our need is increasing, but sort of not too many, as to keep us safe and our clients safe and our staff safe. So it's kind of a fine line that we're walking here, and we're keeping a pretty close eye on it right now.
For sure. If people are looking to donate different items, what are you guys most in need for?
Yeah, that's something
at this time, and obviously going into the 1 month.
Yeah, that's definitely some information that I believe can be found on our website. Off the top of my head, I am not sure exactly what our most needed items are at this time. But like I said, if you're interested in starting a food funds drive, that would be super helpful to us, really popular along the holiday season. So you can go ahead and contact our CEO for more information on that one.
How many volunteers are you guys taking at a time now?
So we take volunteers in groups under 15. If you have a group as large as 15, we will definitely be splitting up it into about two groups of seven or eight, something like that. We're trying to take volunteers in a more limited capacity. Like I mentioned, the two opportunities that we're pushing for new volunteers right now are either fully or partially outdoors. Our mobile pantries are almost fully outdoors, and the community food pantry of St. Joseph County is operated in a room with like a large garage door that's open the whole time. So we're really trying to up that to keep us safe.
Awesome. And one final question. What, other than the holiday, a lot of people tend to have different business functions and things. They do their give back near the holiday. So I'm sure this time of year, things begin to kind of pick up from that. Is there a time of year that as businesses are maybe looking for other ways to put on something for their employees? Is there a time of year when you find that things really drastically drop and you kind of hit that lower point in inventory when you really need items, that maybe we could plan some drives around that, rather than maybe the winter months when things tend to be a little more plentiful because everyone else is doing it at the same time?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that area between February, March, kind of that slushy time around here, in late winter, we tend to see a little bit of a drop in donations, just because it's post holiday season. People gave pretty recently, but not recently enough that we still have those items. We tend to see quite a rise, at the beginning of the school year, as schools host food drives and things of that nature. In the summer, when people have more free time to help out, but in that late winter, sort of like February, March period, we do tend to see a little bit of a drop.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Last question. I know I said that last time. We got another one coming in. Are there volunteer opportunities over the weekend, or are they mostly Monday through Friday?
Yeah, so right now we don't have any volunteer opportunities that are regularly scheduled on weekends. I do know that the first Saturday in December, we are planning one opportunity, I believe, at Mike's Car Wash in Granger, but that's something that's still in the works. I don't have further details on it this time. So I'd be happy to send that to your organization and get the word out there. But at this time, we don't have any regularly scheduled weekend opportunities, again, to just kind of keep our staff in the building for a short amount of time so that we're not exposed to COVID-19.
Perfect. Well, Allison, thank you very much, and stay on the line. We've got a couple more presenters, and then at the end, we're going to kind of bring everyone back to have any final questions and answers.
Great, thank you.
Next up, we have Connor Kiveni of South Bend Community School Corporation's Mentoring Matters. Connor, this floor is yours.
Awesome. My name is Connor. Like Michael said, I've had the honor of working with a team at Mentoring Matters. And so I'm also a fellow YPN, also graduated this past spring. But for this presentation, I'll hand it over to our director, Taylor, to really tell you more about it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Connor. Appreciate you. My name is Taylor Williams. I am the mentor coordinator for South Bend Schools and the director of the mentor program. And so today, would like to present to you the opportunity to volunteer to be a mentor, but also a few other volunteer opportunities that we have within the program. And so I will just share a screen with you. One second here. All right. So this is a short presentation on the mentor program. So a bit of background for the mentor program is that this is something that has previously been in existence. What happened over the last 2 or 3 years is that there had been a lack of leadership for the program. So this is something that we saw our individual schools running out of their building. And, you know, as with any program, if you don't have a centralized leadership team, it's very easy for programs to fizzle out. And so what we did at the beginning of this year, actually right before COVID hit, we started in March, is began to revitalize the program and build that centralized database. And so as we go through this, our new mission for the program is to just ensure that all students have the support, opportunities, and positive relationships they need to feel valued and become the best possible versions of themselves. So I told you we started back in March, and this is a quick overview of our program timeline. So in March, I won't go in depth, but in March we did begin that database review. We took a very deep look at the program, what it had been in the past, and researched some new best practices so that we could improve upon it moving forward. We also developed a new, We also developed a new handbook, as well as included those new policies and practices that we found during our research period. We've been recruiting for a while now, and we have developed an advisory committee that's put together of different community partners throughout the city. And also we have identified individual building liaisons. So in addition to creating this central leadership team, we've also recruited individuals in the buildings that would supervise those day-to-day activities and act as an internal team to support the mentoring program. We have started our mentor orientation already, and we do have new mentor training protocols in place, which I'll get into in just a couple of slides. Due to COVID, our last two timeline goals, we've had to push back a little bit. So this month, we have started pairing our mentors with a few students in the buildings. At this time, we have a total of 29 schools. 12 of those schools are active in the program at this time. So what's new about this, again, is that centralized leadership. The mentor coordinator, being myself, works at the district level along with our team right now. Connor and Drake Schrader, who's also on the call, work to handle the district implementation, the orientation of mentors, and then the district implementation of the program. At the building level, we have our building liaisons who, again, handle the day-to-day activities. They work one-on-one with the students and families to ensure that we have the parental consent. They are there at the initial meeting and pairing of each mentor with the student. And right now, our mentor relationships are 100% virtual due to COVID. So when we talk about the mentor orientation and training, some things are just basic functions that have been there, and that would include the risk management, the general orientation. So when we talk about mentors being mandated reporters, we talk about discussing appropriate physical contact and emergency procedures. Those have all been embedded in the program. What we added new this year are going to be those social emotional components. So part of the training, required training that mentors must take are now ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences. These are any experience between the ages of 0 and 18, traumatic experiences that have an effect on adulthood decision making. And so these are things that our students are encountering on a daily basis. And so having the mentors go through this training helps them to understand kind of what our kids are going through and helps them navigate the conversations that they could come in contact with. We also have trauma-informed care and restorative mindsets. The second piece that we added this year is an age requirement for our high school students. And so we ask that any mentor who have an interest in high school students be at least 25 years of age to mentor. And we do hold monthly orientations for all new mentors that are looking to apply to the program. And those dates are on the right-hand side there. When we talk about recruiting mentors, we have developed two different categories. So the first category is just our general interest mentors. This is any individual who does not have a preference as to who or where they serve. These are individuals who just strictly want to help out and they don't care where they go. The second category is what we're calling variable dependent mentors. And these are the individuals who do have a preference, whether it be the student population or a specific school. So a mentor could say that I only want to work with students K through 5, or I only want to work with high school students. A mentor could say I'm only interested in working with a particular race of students, or they simply could just want to give back to their alma mater and they only want to be in one building. So those are our variable dependent mentors. So we do have options for individuals looking to be a part of the mentor program. For the program, we have developed a 3-tier recruitment strategy. And the first is our district media campaign, working in partnership with our Department of Communications to put together a full-scale community media campaign where we work with the local news stations and radio shows, as well as a mixture of print material and social media as well. We also have each of our individual schools doing their own recruitment through parent organizations, their social media, and also their community events. And then we're reaching out to our community partners such as YPN, where we're trying to get in front of as many individuals as we can to promote the program. And you can help out in either becoming a mentor or simply taking this information back to your organization and your network and continuing to push the message. And so for our new mentoring model, historically, we have always done school-based visits. And so we will continue with those school-based visits, but we'll also add in now community building activities, which will be housed here at our Brown Community Learning Center. These activities are welcoming to all mentors and mentees to just come out. And obviously these will follow COVID guidelines and continue to implement social distancing. But these are community activities where you can come together in one place just to build a sense of community. And then in our phase 3, we're looking at partnering with other community organizations such as the University of Notre Dame, South Bend Cubs, and South Bend Parks and Recreation to provide organized group activities where we can take our mentees off-site and do daily events as well. So that could look like, going to a Cubs game or going to see the Notre Dame basketball team play, or just going over to Howard Park and enjoying the ice skating rink for one evening. Outcomes of the mentor program. So this is a partnership with the My Brother's Keepers initiative. And so there are 6 nationwide milestones, or national milestones, I should say. And those are getting a healthy start and entering school ready to learn, reading at grade level by 3rd grade, graduating from high school, ready for college and careers, completing post-secondary education or training, successfully entering the workforce, and keeping kids on track and giving them second chances. Now, at a local level, we have identified 3 of those 6 milestones that we really wanted to focus on for our South Bend students. And those are denoted with the asterisk, and they are getting a healthy start and entering school ready to learn, successfully entering the workforce, and keeping kids on track and giving them second chances. So here locally, those are the 3 milestones that we're really focusing on. And we even took it a step further and developed some subcategories for their outcomes. So the outcome number 1 is that all participants will demonstrate improved social emotional skills in the classroom. Outcome number 2 is that students who participate in the mentoring program will demonstrate improved academic performance. And then outcome number 3, which we'll really be focusing on here in year 1, is that participants demonstrate an increase in sustainable life skills and protective factors that build emotional regulation, decision-making, social connectedness, conflict resolution, and peer leadership. And we really wanted to focus on outcome number 3, because in year 1, we want to make sure that we have a strong foundation. So what we're really looking at is ensuring that 90% of our student participants report having a positive relationship with a mentor. And that could be for social support and role modeling. So we want a 90% positive rating from our students in the first year. So that is, in short, a description of the mentor program. And so there are, when we talk about opportunities for you to get involved, you can either be a mentor. We do have tutoring sessions available, so you can volunteer as a tutor for various subjects, or you can get involved in one of our community events. We have monthly nights where you can come in, and we do reading nights where you just read books to students, or various other activities that we have along the year. And now I will stop sharing and open up for questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Connor and Taylor. First question, you talked about your community nights. How about for people that might not be ready to make that long-term commitment, but want to still kind of get involved in almost a buffet style type of approach? Is the community nights kind of the ones that would be best for them, or do you have any other alternatives for people that might not be able to make that full-fledged commitment?
Yes. And so for that, we understood that, especially working with our local colleges and universities, there were a lot of people that just really could not make that year-long commitment, right? And so what we wanted to do was still create some opportunities for them to get involved. And those community nights are exactly that. And so these you just pop up, and as long as you're in the mix, so if you still apply to be a mentor, you can get on our mailing list where you'll receive a monthly newsletter from us that will detail all of the different opportunities. And so the community nights, you can come in if you schedule ahead of time, and you can come in to be a tutor. And that you can do if you just give us a week's notice. You can schedule days that you want to come in to be a tutor. You can come in again for those reading nights and also join the community activities as well.
Are there any specific areas for volunteers that you're looking for mentors right now? Obviously, you kind of said people can choose a little bit of what specifically they want to do, whether it's a school or an age. Is there anywhere where you're finding you're struggling to find volunteers that we can kind of look more specifically for?
So right now, we are just looking for general mentors. Our goal, and with COVID, it's kind of really hard to get a measure. And so this, in year 1, we're looking to collect baseline statistics to really see how many mentors we would need in the building. But our goal for year 1 is just to create a general pool of at least 400 mentors. And so we think that's going to be, we do have 29 schools. So I would imagine that, 400 is the minimum to serve the students we need.
Awesome. We do have a question here. As a mentor, do you mentor the same student through the entirety of their participation in the program, or are you paired with different students each year?
Our preference is that a mentor stay with their student for the entire. So our goal is that the mentor be with them through their high school graduation.
Wow. Awesome. Melanie asks, what skills or abilities are you looking for in volunteers? if someone might be on the fence, what kind of separates them to say, hey, this is all right for you to be able to participate and help us out?
Yeah. So when we talk about volunteers, it's really just a willingness to give back, a willingness to have an open mind, and understand that these kids are coming. The majority of our students are coming from a background of trauma, right? And so we really need to be aware of that and have an open mind that we are understanding, and we're not trying to push our beliefs onto a student or make them, mold them into our beliefs, but to understand where they're coming from and just be there as a support system for them.
Awesome. Well, with
And
that,
Michael, real quick point to that. That's also one of the purposes to like the trainings, like the ACE training, etc. Is it? I mean, although there's tremendous opportunity to impact these students, that like if you guys have been following, we've distributed there's been this huge grant to get internet to homes that don't have it. But if you think about it, the problem is a little bit more complex than just internet. But having that mentor there to encourage and to build those life skills and to have accountability. And so if you're on the fence, like that means it's probably for you, and we'll train you. And to Taylor's point, yeah, as long as you're ready to learn and listen, it'll not only be effective for the student, but you'll grow as well in your ability to listen and to meet kids where they're at. So
it definitely sounds like one of those things that I always feel like after I volunteer, sometimes it's tough to find it in your schedule, but right as you're done, you always have a sense of accomplishment. You always want to do it again. And 9 times out of 10, you feel better about yourself than you did, truly about the work you were doing. So I love it. If you guys are on the fence, it sounds like an absolute great opportunity to kind of get your feet wet and see if this is.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, Michael.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
But for anybody that may be on the fence, part of that mentor handbook is a 12-week starter guide. So it comes packed full of tips and tricks, icebreakers, conversation starters, activities that you can do with your mentee. So we do have that 12-week starter guide that's given to you at the start of your, at the start of your service.
Perfect. And last question here. Are the reading nights still taking place with COVID, or are those all virtual then, I assume?
Yeah, so we've actually put a pause on our reading nights currently. We are going to take another look at the statistics when we come back from winter break in January, and we'll get those started again. So we will offer, at the very least, virtual reading nights. We'll have like a virtual poetry den as well. We incorporate some of the fine arts into what we're doing. But right now they're on pause.
Awesome. For anyone else that does have any additional questions, what we're doing is we're going to move on to our last presenter here. And then at the end, we're going to bring everyone back for any general questions. So if you do have something in your chat for someone that has already spoke, just put their name on it so I can make sure I ask the appropriate party. But Connor and Taylor, very much appreciate it. And we'll catch back with you guys here in a little bit. Next up, we have David O'Connor. You guys might recognize him more as Irish Dave in the morning when you listen to him with U93. But David, it's all yours to talk to us about a Rosie Place for Children.
Thank you very much. Assuming they actually listened. I mean, I probably wouldn't have listened to me, to be honest. But I am glad that you're here to listen to me today, most importantly. And, I just want to say, I know there's a lot of collective stress going on in the community and across the country right now. And I really appreciate that you've all taken the time today to actually listen to what's going on in the community from all the speakers, including myself. So thank you so much for doing that. So yeah, I decided in March of this year to leave radio, and I started working for a Rosie Place for Children. And in September 2018, I had no idea what a Rosie Place for Children even was until I actually had the CEO of a Rosie Place in on my radio show. And that's how I got to know her. And I said, hey, I would love to come and see it. And she said, all right, come by. And I just fell in love with their mission. And over the last couple of years, I just fell in love with it so much that it was getting more apparent that that's what I really wanted to do with my career. I really do believe that time is so precious that you have to really be careful about how you use it. And I really thought to myself that this was more of a calling for me. So what is a Rosie Place for Children? For those who don't know, and again, it's cool, I didn't know until a while ago either what it was, but we're the first and only specialty licensed hospital that exclusively serves children who are medically fragile in the entire state of Indiana. So what happens there, the easiest way to explain it is, children come there for short-term respite stays. So the kids will come and stay there for up to about 10 nights at a time. And then during that time, they get to experience amazing things. I mean, they get to make friendships for the first time. They get to do a lot of activities that they weren't able to do before. And then their parents or caregivers get a break from the demands of 24-hour care. And what's also incredible about a Rosie Place for Children is that no family ever pays for the services. It costs us about $1,200 a night per kid. Pretty much because we are a hospital with highly skilled nursing staff. We've doctors on call, we've clinical support staff. So it's expensive. If you've ever been to hospital and gotten your insurance bill, you'll see that it's very expensive. So the fact that we've managed to get it down to $1,200 a night per child is actually incredible. But how do we say to a family who has no support, oh, sure, your child can stay for 7 days, but it's going to cost you, $8,000. Like, we just couldn't do that. So from the very beginning, we decided that it was always going to be free to the families and that the responsibility for fundraising would be our burden, not their burden. Because if you know any family with a child that has special needs or medical fragilities or complexities, there's so many barriers in their life. And we just didn't want to create any barriers for them. We just wanted to wrap our arms around them, create a village around them, and give them something that really made a big impact in their life. And we serve all 92 counties in Indiana. And something that I know a lot of you are very proud in your own professions is how innovative you are and how innovative your companies are. Well, a Rosie Place for Children is an innovator in the healthcare world. We created a whole new category. And in the state of Indiana, we were the first and still the only one. And we have families that travel from Indianapolis. We've families that travel from Fort Wayne, from Gary. Like, for our community of children who are medically fragile and families, we are the center of excellence. Like we would travel sometimes to Riley Hospital with our kids. These families travel here to South Bend to a Rosie Place for Children. I want to show you around it. We are here in South Bend. We're just west of the airport. We chose there on purpose. And I just want you to imagine it. The one thing we wanted to really create was a home away from home environment. So there you go. Michael, can you just give me a thumbs up that you can hear the music? Because I have a video on the way that it is important that you can hear the audio in a second. All right. So that's a Rosie place. Sometimes people will come out for a tour and they'll say, like, we're about 2 minutes off the bypass, and they'll say, how come you're all the way out here? Like we're, I don't know, 40 miles away, but we actually specifically put it there and built it there for several reasons. Because we serve the entire state, it's very close to the toll road. It's very close to the bypass. It's about 7 minutes to downtown South Bend, which is really important as well. And also, we didn't want to remind children that they were at a hospital. So a lot of our kids spent a lot of their life in hospital at the very beginning, and do so that even though it is a hospital and we need to be that level of care for them, we wanted them to feel like this was a camp that they were going to, that again, just didn't remind them of a hospital. Something that totally won me over was when I first heard about how a Rosie Place for Children actually began. This story is incredible. Our CEO, our current CEO, she had a child who was medically fragile. And that child actually stopped breathing one night. She had no idea, by the way, that he was fragile at this stage. He was 3 months old. She thought he was progressing normally, and he stopped breathing. They rushed him to hospital in South Bend. And the doctor who saved his life was a doctor called Dr. Bumi Okunlami, which some of you may know. So she got our CEO's son well enough to be able to be transferred to Riley Hospital. Our CEO, by the way, this is before Rosie Place, but our CEO spent 7 months in Riley Hospital. Her child was on ventilators, on feeding tubes, and eventually he was stable enough to be able to go home to South Bend and just be an outpatient to Dr. Bumi Okunlami again. When our CEO, when she got back to South Bend with her child, after a while, she started researching, looking for services, places that could help her out now that she had a child who was medically fragile. And she realized that there was absolutely nothing. There was no services. Basically, if you are a parent with a child who is medically fragile, you're on your own. If your child is really sick and they need to go to hospital, okay, they can go into the emergency room. But otherwise, there was no services. There was no community. There was no information out there. And our CEO, along with Dr. Bumi Okunlami, who saved her child's life, they met for lunch one day, and they both agreed, these two incredible, strong women, one a doctor who cared way more than just medical, and a mom who was just knew it wasn't right that she had no support. The two of them got together over lunch and decided that they were going to change this. And they created a Rosie Place out of sheer determination for other parents. And here's something that's even more incredible. Last year was the first year that a Rosie Place ever hired anybody to help them fundraising and we're in our 10th year of operation now. So over the last decade, these two women, our CEO and Dr. Bumi Okunlami, they both fundraised over $10 million to sustain all of our operations over the last 10 years. I'm actually the only person that works in development for them now. I think that story is incredible. There's a TED Talks in there for sure. And talking about our CEO, you're going to hear from her in this video, but you're also really going to hear from our families. I want you to understand the impact that a Rosie Place for Children has on this community of people.
When I wake up, I get Brandon out, I give him his medications, I catheterize him, I change his diaper and sometimes his clothes, and then I put him back on his feeding pump for a little while. And that goes every 3 hours, pretty much around the clock.
There's a wake up sometime between 5 and 6. 9 times out of 10, his Aussie bag has come off in the middle of the night. He likes to toss and turn and roll around.
Since having Lauren, I think my other 2 kids, I've had to take the back burner a lot. Riley's 15. He should not have to be dependent on to take care of his brother.
My mom will usually get him up, and then we'll get Lauren up off, and we'll get him in his chair, which is a very big struggle because he's getting bigger. We'll feed him. He cannot eat by himself. I usually change him about twice a day, if my mom's not around, I'll be changing them all day.
And it's usually, depending on the day, a service. We have occupational therapy, we have speech, we have behavioral therapy, doctor's appointments. Just every day's a little different. And then go to bed and repeat every day.
These children get to come overnight and have a sleepover for a few days at our place where they can really feel loved and cared for. We provide exceptional nursing care for these children, and it allows the parents to have a rest, a reprieve from the demands of 24-hour care. They're very isolated, these families and children. They're not able to get out much and experience life like most of us do. So we've created this environment that allows them to come and have this exceptional time where they get to create and paint, they get to build friendships, take bubble baths, things that they can't normally do at home. And the most beautiful part about a Rosie Place is because of the generosity of our community, families do not have to pay for this service, for this gift.
We've tried to hire nannies and babysitters, and they quit. They interview and say they're excited, and then they don't show up.
There are weeks I wouldn't know how to keep going if I didn't have the break. The first time we brought Brandon to a Rosie Place, it was emotional, but with time, we've developed such trust with the very loving, compassionate staff here. They bond with the children, they talk with them, they play games with them, they paint with them, so the parents have special take-home projects that their child made over the weekend.
You know, they don't treat him like a baby here. They treat him like a little boy. I mean, he's made a lot of friends since he started coming here, and I really appreciate everything of them. And there's nothing, you can't do enough to express your appreciation for someone that takes care of your kids so well.
Having that relief to know that these people aren't going to walk out or kick him out because he's crying or his bag comes off, there's no way to say thank you enough.
So I know that if you're seeing that video for the first time, sometimes it can make you sad because you're thinking about the hand that these families have been dealt. And, you know, people often ask me, is it difficult to work in this environment? And the truth is that it's not. And the reason it's not is because a Rosie Place for children is a happy place for children. When these children are in a Rosie Place, they're happy, they're kids. They don't know that they're any different for the most part. Some do, but when they're there, they're being the best version that they can be of themselves. They're experiencing things that they can't. And I love it. And what I really think is sad, I think of these families being like our CEO was and having nothing. That's what's sad. So I'm not God. I can't change these children, nor would I want to. But now that they are here and they're in our community, and we can meet them where they're at, and we can really impact their life and their family's life and their siblings' life and the entire extended family. At this point, I just want to ask you if you've got any questions.
Well, that video made me a little more emotional than I was expecting this afternoon, Dave. So thank you for that. A couple questions we did have come through. How do people find you? So do you guys work with local hospitals, or how do people learn about a Rosie Place that you guys are an option?
Yeah, so all of the major hospitals across the state of Indiana are definitely aware of us. They recommend us all the time. We're also with all the caseworkers, so families often get caseworkers. A lot of the in-home help that some of the families get, like all those agencies know about us. We have 33 nurses altogether on rotation. Now, although some of them are full-time actual staff nurses, a lot of them are nurses and medical staff that work in St. Joe or in Beacon Memorial. So they also, you know, they get to often see the kids when they're first born, so they tell the families about it. And we are also starting some campaigns now. We have a campaign called Reach Every Family campaign, which I've taken on in my role that we're going to do. One thing that I always like to point out to people as well, and we're very transparent about our finances because we're extremely fiscally responsible. One, we have zero debt, which for a nonprofit with such a big operating budget, it's almost unheard of. We're really responsible because we want to make sure we're here for these families long term. Two, our operating budget this year is about $1.6 million. And three, we don't receive any insurance reimbursement whatsoever. And people are always shocked by that because they think hospital insurance, it's a no-brainer, they're coupled together, you're financially sound. Actually, that's not true. And I talked at the start about the fact that we're innovators in the healthcare industry. We created a whole new category. And because we're the only one, the insurance companies will not give us a billing code. It's something we have worked on, we've advocated for. We're getting there. We're hoping to get there. But out of our 1.6 million, we have to fundraise 1.1 million this year. And that's my department. I oversee that department and I oversee just myself. It's me and the CEO who get to do that. So it is a hurdle for us right now. But again, we keep on doing it because we're driven by the passion of our CEO knowing that these families need us. And that just filters down from the top. So we hope that changes in the future. But for now, we have to fundraise basically $1 million every year, and we've done that over the last 10 years.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What volunteer opportunities are available for those that aren't medically trained, and kind of piggybacking on that? What does serving at a Rosie place for a young professional look like?
Yeah, I mean, because we are a specialty licensed hospital, all of our staff are paid, highly trained staff. We're a little bit different. Even before COVID, you know, I talk to a lot of our families all the time. And when COVID first hit, we started online parent support groups. We've been really innovative during this pandemic, and actually we've expanded our services as well as stays, and it's really helped us grow actually in so many ways. But I asked families, like, how are you dealing with this? And every single family member would say, this is like our life all the time. Because our children are constantly in fear of our children catching something that could kill them because they're fragile. So for them, it hasn't really changed. But because we are a specialty licensed hospital, because our kids are so fragile, everybody who is there is paid and has to get vaccinated. So when it comes to volunteer opportunities, there are some that we have, but because it is such a highly equipped place, everybody needs to be specially trained. So really when it comes to volunteer opportunities, the biggest thing we need, and I hate saying this because I know most people don't want to get involved when it's financially, but really financial support is what we truly need. But that doesn't mean that you have to just write us a check. And that could mean that as the YPN, you know, you could get together and create an event, an online event or a social event with your friends and give that way. When COVID goes away or a vaccination is finally being proven, there may be some opportunities for people to be able to come to the hospital and volunteer. But for now, we're kind of on strict lockdown because of the complexities of our children. So unlike the other speakers, there's few opportunities for volunteering right now.
Right. I know for us personally, we have an employee that has a special needs child that has been at a Rosie place and, you know, speaks wonders of you all. Is there a limit as to how often a child can come, or obviously they can't live there, you know, and make it every weekend, but how do you guys kind of determine who is able and who might not be able to come through the door at different times?
Well, so in terms of how many days children stay, so again, because we created this whole sector, we kind of decided to make our own rules because we didn't have to fit into any kind of box. And that's what was amazing about it. So at the start, families, we just kind of, over the first couple of years, we just wanted to see how much families needed us, how much they wanted their kids to stay there. And actually the number that we've gotten to now is the average is about 15 days per year. I think we did finally write that into our policy last year, but we don't say no to a family. If a family is already registered with us and they've stayed, say, 15 days, and then, you know, the mom might be a single mom, and we've had this scenario and she had to go in for surgery that was unexpected, and the only way she could have it was that her child stayed at a Rosie place. We don't say like, no, you're 15 days. We really strive to always say yes. And so 15 is the ballpark, but we have some who stay more and some who stay less. But the 15 was actually born out of what families on average were using us for. That's how we came to that number. Children do have to have a medical component. So for example, like they might be on a feeding tube or a ventilator, or they may have seizures and things like that. A lot of our kids do also have like autism and other special needs like that. But having those on their own don't qualify as medically fragile. And the reason we're very specific about that is that there are actually services, although I know families still struggle to get all they need, but there are services for mental disabilities a lot more so than medically fragile. So that's why we stick to that and stick to our mission on that.
Final two questions before we bring everyone back in, and I'll ask them both and you can address them. Are you guys currently hiring or offering any job opportunities for maybe those that are medically trained? And completely separate, what do you guys just work for people that live in Indiana, or can people fly in from out of state to utilize your services as well?
So the first question is, there's a nursing shortage in this entire region. We are always looking for highly trained nurses. So that is one opportunity. We also are constantly looking for clinical support staff. They play an incredible role. You know, a lot of medical facilities or hospitals will have a ratio of about like 16 patients to maybe one nurse. We have a 1-to-1 ratio because our children are so fragile. So there'll always be a nurse or clinical support staff with our children. And there are opportunities like that. And there's opportunities behind the scenes with fundraising. We're an organization right now that we've seen so much growth over the last year. We really changed gear and how we focused on our business model and how we really do everything, that if there's a reason to hire somebody right now and they fit into our model and they can bring something to the organization, we're very open to that. Mm-hmm. And in terms of people out of state, we kind of have to be careful with this, and that the official line is we serve residents of Indiana, but outside of the state of Indiana, it's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
But I will tell you, being so close to the Michigan line, we have a lot of children from Michigan who come regularly. We've also had Notre Dame families come in from out of state who have a child who's medically fragile, and they come in for a weekend. Now, because we are a hospital, the intake does take quite a long time. It takes about 3 or 4 weeks of getting to know people, and because you get to know everything about the child, their meds, their favorite color, and like, it's not just about keeping them healthy, it's also about them having an exceptional experience. So people out of state, you can call up once you qualify on a case-by-case basis. Again, we have very few barriers because we don't believe in them. So yes is the answer. I would contact a Rosie place.
Awesome. Well, we'll bring back Taylor, Connor, and Allison to see if there are any other final questions. So if you guys do have any, feel free to put them in the chat box. To 3 of you, or I guess 4 of you, since Connor was a double, much appreciate you guys spending the time and talking to us today and sharing your insights of what you're doing to help the community. Not only now, obviously, when we need it with everything going on with COVID, but also obviously moving forward. It's a scary place out there, and it's nice to see that there's people like you guys that are out there being selfless, doing everything you can to help others. And we'll make sure that we get this message out to other YPs in the area. So if they do have any interest or want to reach out, we'll make sure they have your contact information to maybe ask you a more specific question that they might have.
Yeah. And I think everybody will agree as well, Michael, that doing good in the community is wonderful, but having people that actually care enough to listen motivates me personally. I'm sure with Taylor and Connor and Allison, they'll feel the exact same. So, thanks for taking the time to actually listen to us.
For sure. Well, it doesn't look like we have any other questions at this point. So I'd like to do a special thank you to our presenters and our sponsors, Gibson Insurance, Indiana Michigan Power, Martins, and Transpo. For all you YPs out there, please be on the lookout for information in the coming weeks regarding our YPN Merry Mixer. Normally that is an in-person event. We do have some changes this year with COVID going on, go figure. But be on the lookout in your email for some additional information that we have. So thank you all for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. If you do have any other additional questions, we'll make sure you get the contact information for the appropriate party moving forward. So you guys take care. Presenters, thank you all very much. Very much appreciated.